Life, as we know it, is often compared to a journey. Along this path, we encounter smooth highways, rough terrain, and the occasional crossroads that force us to make tough decisions. The essence of life lies in the uncertainty of the journey. Some people thrive on meticulously planned routes, while others embrace spontaneity, allowing the unknown to unfold at each step. What we often overlook, however, is that the most valuable lessons aren't necessarily learned at the end of the road, but during the unexpected detours we take along the way. I once believed that the only way to succeed in life was to follow a well-defined path. I grew up with the understanding that good grades, a reputable degree, and a steady career would lead to the success and happiness I craved. This was the route most people in my life endorsed, and like them, I was eager to follow the same trajectory. As a young adult, I put everything I had into climbing the proverbial ladder. I studied diligently, graduated from university with honors, and found myself a respectable job at a large firm. On the surface, everything was going according to plan. I was following the road that had been laid out for me, and I assumed that in time, it would lead to the fulfillment I sought. But something was missing. Despite my outward success, there was an emptiness that followed me everywhere. I found myself longing for something more, although I couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was. The long hours at the office began to feel like a monotonous grind, and the excitement I had once felt for my career started to fade. At first, I ignored it, convinced that I was simply experiencing the growing pains of adulthood. But as time went on, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was on the wrong path. It was during a particularly stressful week at work that I made an impulsive decision. On a whim, I booked a weekend trip to the mountains, a place I had always been curious about, but never had the time to explore. With just a backpack and my camera, I set out on my little adventure, not knowing what to expect. I left my meticulously planned life behind for those few days and simply allowed myself to exist in the moment. The mountains were everything I had hoped for. They were quiet, serene, and humbling. As I hiked through the dense forests, I felt a sense of peace that had eluded me for years. But it wasn't just the landscape that brought me clarity. On my second day there, I encountered an older man named George, sitting by a secluded riverbank. He was a local who had spent his entire life in the mountains. His clothes were worn, and his face was lined with years of experience. Yet there was a calmness about him that immediately drew me in. We struck up a conversation, and George shared stories of his life, simple yet profound tales of love, loss, and the quiet joy of living close to nature. He had once worked in the city, but had left it all behind to live in the mountains. His decision was not born from failure, but from a realization that he didn't need to chase society's version of success to find happiness. Sometimes, he told me, you don't need to follow the main road. It's the trails you take off to the side that lead to the real treasures. His words struck a chord with me. For years, I had been so focused on reaching a particular destination that I had forgotten to enjoy the journey itself. I had been chasing a version of success that wasn't truly mine, and in doing so, I had overlooked the importance of living authentically. George's life, though vastly different from the one I had imagined for myself, seemed fuller in ways I had never considered. The unexpected twist of my trip was that I found clarity not through solitude or reflection, but in a chance encounter with a stranger. George's insights led me to a realization. Life doesn't always have to follow a linear path. Sometimes the detours we take, whether they're weekend trips to the mountains or spontaneous conversations with strangers, hold the key to understanding what we truly want. As I returned to my life, I carried George's words with me. I didn't quit my job or uproot my life entirely, but I did begin to make small changes. I prioritized experiences over achievements, choosing to explore new interests and focus on what made me feel fulfilled, rather than what I thought would impress others. In the end, life's true value isn't measured by the number of milestones we reach, but by the richness of the journey itself. The unexpected turns, the detours, and the people we meet along the way shape us far more than any destination ever could. Sometimes, the road less traveled doesn't take us where we thought we wanted to go, but it might just lead us exactly where we need to be.